Okay, if you're just joining us, the news confirmed on Twitter by the NHL, just releasing the information. Luke Witkowski has been suspended for 10 games. He of the Detroit Red Wings involved in the brawl last night against the Calgary Flames. Matthew Tkachuk of the Flames will have a hearing with the NHL for his parts tomorrow. Now, we default to someone who may or may not have sent Detroit Red Wings players over the boards in various games when he was behind the bench with the Red Wings. Doug MacLean, your thought, wide brush this thing, so we have a little bit of time. Wide brush thoughts on what we saw last night at Little Caesars.
Isn't it amazing the coverage that this little scrum has generated? Imagine Fred Shero of the Broad Street Bullies if he saw this and the notoriety it's gotten and the 10-game suspension. I mean, look, it's not good when you understand the situation. When you leave the plane service and you come back out, it's essentially an automatic 10 games unless there's extenuating circumstances. So I get the 10 games for Witkowski. He made a big mistake. He shouldn't have come back on the surface. Once the referee or the linesman takes you off the ice, you're done. So that's it. That's cut and dried. There was some suggestion the league may think it was a little bit of a gray area because Tkachuk poked him on the way off and antagonized him. I don't really buy that. So, you know, the situation for Witkowski is I understand the 10 games, and I think it essentially is justified.
Let's get to Matthew.
Because of the rule, it's justified.
Certainly. You mentioned Matthew Tkachuk. Let's get there right now. The reason that a lot of this wasn't aired live was because everybody, you know, broadcasters with us, stateside as well, thought that this was done. So they went to a TV timeout.
Yeah.
The reason it all exploded is because, and again, this is Luke Witkowski, his decision to come back, but a lot of it was Witkowski steps off the ice and he gets a tap from Matthew Tkachuk. We talk about the rules and then we talk about the code. How much of that was a transgression of the code, Doug?
Well, for me, you know, I didn't like that Tkachuk essentially followed him almost from the center ice area, you know, almost the center ice area, and then he pokes him and then he cuts in behind. He cuts away and gets behind his own player. Okay, I didn't like that. But look, it was a tap. He got 5 minutes for spearing, but it antagonized the situation. It antagonized Witkowski. He thought, okay, who's giving me a shot from behind? Not that it was a vicious spear. It was essentially a tap. But there's no need to do it. And Tkachuk is wrong, in my opinion, to put fire, add fuel to the fire, essentially.
Well, that to me is one of the overwhelming points here that you make, Doug. It's just a tap. We know that. Right. That's a little tap on the skates. But Matthew Tkachuk knows exactly what he's doing. He knows what's going to happen. And in a lot of ways, what happened afterwards, you could make the argument, was exactly what Matthew Tkachuk wanted. True or false?
Well, look, you don't. First of all, you have to understand when a guy is in a fight, Witkowski's trying to make a living being a relative, you know, being a tough guy, being that role. He just finishes a fight. He's being thrown out of the game, essentially, and then you get another poke from another player. That typically doesn't happen. You know, it doesn't happen. So I think Tkachuk, as little as it was, it was the thing that fired it up even more. It really created even more. And I think he's going to get suspended for it. And I think he deserves to be suspended for being antagonistic. Look, we love Tkachuk, the way he plays the game. We love it. I don't like that. I don't like it at all. And then he was in behind, poking and punching with his stick in his hand. So, you know what? It's just got to, I mean, he's got to grow, and he will grow past that.
Confirming the news once again, if you're just joining us, Luke Witkowski, 10-game suspension. NHL just tweeting this moments ago. There will be a hearing between Matthew Tkachuk and the NHL tomorrow. Now,
the one other thing I don't like is the door situation.
Okay.
When that happens, like I don't have a problem with the fight. As a matter of fact, I loved it.
There we go.
I loved the fight. I loved the scrum. I liked the helmet grabbing and the little punches here and the little rabbit punches. But when the door opens and you fall down, that is a recipe for a serious injury. I remember coaching in a game where a guy was cut for 100 stitches in a crease because of guy falling on his face with his skate. Come on, it's dangerous stuff. So you don't like the door being open and the falling down. And I think Mantha should be addressed to Mantha that was across the line as well for me.
But don't you think, because that doesn't transgress a rule, don't you think that will be dealt with next season when these two teams hook up? Like, isn't that a player justice issue more than a Department of Player Safety?
Probably, but again, coaches are really nervous of sending guys out. I mean, I remember coaching in Detroit when we'd have Probert and Kosher arguing on the bench who was going to fight. I want him.
Yeah.
No, I want him. No, you get him next game. I want him this game. Now, we got squirting of water and we got $5,000 fines. Squirting water from the bench is a $5,000. Well, is it $2,500 or $5,000?
Yeah, and then you and Brian Murray would just, okay, 24 and 26, you can both go out
Oh, in those days, you'd squirt them and then throw the water bottle at them.